Good afternoon all and welcome to our webinar, Hair and Beauty Technical Qualifications, What's It All About? Thank you for joining us. My name is Seon and I'm here to introduce our speaker today and coordinate our question and answer session during the webinar. Before we get underway, I'd like to explain a few things about our webinar platform to allow you to get the most out of the experience. First off, all viewers will be in listen-only mode. However, to engage with the webinar, please use the on-screen panel. There, you can adjust your audio settings and use the question tab to engage with us. Please note that the chat section on the panel is deactivated, so do use the question tab to write any comments to us. Please feel free to post questions throughout the webinar, and Diane will answer as many as she can during the presentation. After the webinar, we will be providing a recording of the webinar, a copy of the slides, and a fact sheet to address any unanswered questions. Now I'd like to hand over to our main presenter, Diane Mitchell, Hair and Beauty Technical Advisor at City and Guilds.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this webinar this afternoon. What I'm going to be covering this afternoon is an update of where we are with the technical qualifications. So on the agenda this afternoon, I'll be going through the current situation, where we are with the changes to the educational landscape, and really sort of setting the scene of why we're in the situation we are in today. Then I'm really going to drill down and look at the differences between how we deliver a technical qualification and how we've been delivering for QCF for the last 10 years. Then I'm going to look at the technical qualification design principles, I'm going to look at the assessment approach, and going to really look at how these are going to be moderated. Well, they're going to drill down and look closely at each of the qualifications and our full offer from level 2 through to level 3 across hair and beauty. We're going to look at progression, and I think the biggest thing I want to get out of today is that we're now being funded to get young people into employment. And I think around these new design principles of these new qualifications, we have to think about that there's actually job opportunities for learners out there at level 2. It doesn't always mean to say they have to go to level 3. We're then going to look at the assessment and how these are going to be assessed, and the support resources City and Guilds have got ready for you. So we've been on a journey. We've been on a journey for the last 4 years. It started in 2013 with the Alison Wolfe reforms, who started to look at vocational education. We had Alison Wolfe looking at 16 to 19-year-old learning education, and we had Doug Rich looking at the apprenticeship reforms. The reason for these reforms is because employers are saying that we are not giving the learners the proper skills or the rounded skills to make them employable, and that there is a massive gap between education and employment. So one of the few things that Alison Wolfe implemented was the raising of participation age, that every young person now has to stay in education until the age of 18. We thought this was going to be great for us as colleges. We thought we'd have learners coming out of our ears that are staying on and doing vocational related qualifications. But it's had a bit of an opposite effect. Schools are trying to hang on to them. But just recently, the schools are now being targeted that they've got to start giving these young people guidance and advice about what is out there for apprenticeships, technicals, or academic qualifications. In 2014, we brought in the first study programs, which obviously is made up of a vocational related qualification, plus work experience, and obviously then maths and English and employability skills. In 2015, the first performance tables were published to reflect these new reforms. And what's going to happen now is, as an organisation, you will have to publish your performance tables every year to now start saying how many hair or beauty therapists you're getting out with the top grades. So as a parent, parents will now start looking at your performance tables like they would do a university or a secondary school. In September 2016, the government launched the Level 3 technicals, and we've now, at City and Guilds across hair and beauty, we're in a very fortunate position that 69 centres have been brave enough to make that jump, and we've got 2,500 learners registered for these technicals this year. And what we're going to be looking at today is first teaching of our Key Stage 5 technical certificates at Level 2 and what City and Guilds offer is going to be. So we're in a very fortunate position at Sitting Guilds. We have now got 95 qualifications approved for the 2019 performance tables. We've got a full Key Stage 4 offer, a full Key Stage 5 at Level 2 and Level 3. And in other vocational areas, we have got more coming as well. But for hair and beauty, we have our full cohort of qualifications that are now being approved. So what are the differences between technical qualifications, and we will now be talking about technical, not vocational qualifications, and QCF. Our technical qualifications are much more focused on employability skills. We now have to work with employers. Employers have to say of what are the most important skills to make somebody most employable. And now we're being measured on actually giving those learners skills to get into an apprenticeship, onto employment, or opening doors to go into higher education. Sitting Guilds now has an offer from pre-16 up to Key Stage 5, which is the Level 3s. One of the new design principles of these new qualifications is that there has to be some form of synoptic assessment. And for hair and beauty, we've adopted that synoptic assessment is going to be a practical trade test. Can they do the job? There also has to be an externally set and externally marked element, so we are using this as an external exam. By doing these qualifications, it does give you back much more time to teach and deliver the skills rather than the burden of ongoing assessment. So we've got multiple pathways, which I'm now going to start to talk to you about the differences. So just to talk to you about the design principles from a QCF type qualification onto these new technicals. And I do believe this is the biggest shake-up in education since the introduction of NVQs nearly 30 years ago. And if you think the way that we delivered qualifications for the last 30 years, we've been encouraged to deliver a unit, find the range within that unit, and then do an end of knowledge test and close that unit down. That sort of form of assessment isn't preparing the learners for the world of work. QCF has now been disbanded. That whole bite-sized learning, starting a learner on a board, building them up to a certificate, building up for a diploma, is showing now that we're not developing learner skills enough to get them into employment. How many times do we hear learners say, I don't need to do a set highlights, I've done all my woven highlights, I'm only looking now for a full head colour. Or I'm not looking for an oily facial, I'm only looking for a dehydrated. We're moving away from ongoing assessment to going back to teaching a syllabus where at the end the learners will have to do an end trade test and an end externally set and externally marked paper. And employer involvement activities are key. I'm not worried for hair and beauty about the employer involvement activities. That's something we've always done really well. And if you're picking up a programme of study, then a learner has to do work experience anyway. But the employer involvement activities could be that you've got dermatological coming in, you've got Weller coming in, Steiner, or it could be your work experience. So the assessment approach to the new technicals. We have, as I say, we've been very fortunate this year that we have had 69 centres that have been brave enough to make the jump. We have been working very, very closely with them, and we have been listening to their feedback. Some of the approaches to our assessment we have now softened slightly from feedback from our customers and actually through the Department for Education slightly changing the goalposts. So what we're going to be doing, and I think the biggest thing that many people are concerned about, is that end externally set and externally marked knowledge paper, where we will only have one opportunity for a reset. So what we're going to do for you for September is we're going to reduce the content of the externally set and externally marked paper. That externally marked paper will be focused much more on the critical knowledge that cannot be observed through a performance. What we're looking to do is we're going to give you a test specification at the beginning of September, which will outline all the units and the learning outcomes in those units. And we will tell you what areas will be covered in that externally set and externally marked paper. By doing that, you will be able to better prepare your learners for that end knowledge test. Also, the feedback that our centres has given us is that actually the 24th of April, which is when we sat our hairdressing level 3 technical paper and our level 3 beauty was on the 25th, wasn't the best time of the year. The learners had just been off on 2 weeks holiday for Easter, and they come back to do a really important knowledge test. So by giving you a test specification in September, which will help you better prepare those learners, we want to bring forward that exam sitting to maybe March time. Excuse me. So that by doing that, it will then give you more time between exam series. It's going to take us around about 5 weeks to mark those externally set and externally marked papers. By the time we get them back to you, for this year, those learners that sat it on in the 24th of April, you only have 3 weeks to get your learners ready for the resit opportunity. By bringing that test series forward, you will get more time. You would get between 5 and 6 weeks to prepare those learners that haven't been successful for that second sitting of that external paper. The hair and beauty, we decided actually that February and May is slightly too early. February is just a wee bit early to do the external papers. So we are looking to do the first 2 weeks in June, and sorry, the first 2 weeks in March, and then the resit opportunity in June. We're just trying to finalise our exam timetable at the moment, and this will be published for you in July. The other changes to the assessment approaches that we have adopted is that we're going to develop more exemplar assignments for you to help you standardise the marking of the synoptic practical assignment. At the moment, centres are working quite blindly of what a pass looks like, what merit looks like, what distinction looks like. And we will be able to give you a much better idea of that by developing more exemplar assignments for you. This year, we released our what is going to be the end synoptic assessment on the 1st of February. What we've now decided for this year is we're going to allow tutors and centres to have access to it on the 1st of September. You won't be able to share that with your learners just yet, but you will be able to have an understanding of what's going to be in that practical end synoptic assessment. We're in the process at the moment of redeveloping all the academic planners for you. As soon as our development team have signed off exactly when the end knowledge tests are going to be, we will publish those and send them out to everybody. Also, I've been in a very fortunate position where a few centres have invited me in to mark alongside them. And I've seen this firsthand, that actually many of the assessments we at the moment currently assess against 8 assessment objectives. There's an awful lot of crossover on those assessment objectives. So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the burden on you when you're marking these end practical assignments, and we're going to reduce the amount of assessment objectives. So we're going from 8 down to 5. The other thing we'll be able to give you much clearer idea for this year is what a pass boundary looks like. All right, so for you as a centre, it'll be much clearer what a learner needs to do to get that pass, that merit, that distinction. So the 5 assessment objectives that we're going to adopt from the 1st of September this year, we're just going to do 5 assessment objectives rather than 8. So the 5 assessment objectives, AO1 is all about your health and safety. So throughout that whole 5 or 6 hour trade test, has that learner maintained all the health and safety? Have they thought about their personal presentation? Have they met environmental sustainable working practices? And have they thought about, obviously, the working of the salon? AO2 is all about the understanding of concepts and theories and processes. This is gathered through your practical observation. You can observe that somebody has a technical knowledge through a practical performance. But also we will get quite a lot of this evidence because at the end of any practical performance, the learners have to be able to evaluate. So we'll be able to draw on that evaluation, which will build towards the marks for assessment objective 2. Assessment objective 3 is all about have they got the skills, but have they got the skills across all the technical mandatory units. So You know, can they do a full body massage, a facial electrical, body electrical and dry spa treatment? Can they do that creative restyle, colour and hair up? So it's marking them across all those technical skills that they need to be able to enter into the world of employment. AO4 is all about bringing it together in the most coherent way, and this is where your commercial timings come in. Are they thinking about doing it in the most logical sequence? It's all about bringing it together in the most commercially viable way. AO5 is your best outcome, it's your X factor outcome. Those learners that want to, they can walk the walk and talk the talk, and have got that attention to detail and looking for perfection. This is the outcome where you can reward those learners with more marks. So just to recap then, our technical qualifications at Sitting Guilds are made out of 4 components. The first 2, the synoptic practical assignment and the end assessment, is what gives the learner their overall grade for that technical qualification. So the synoptic practical assignment will be externally set by Sitting Guilds. We will let you know that on the 1st of September. You internally mark it and manage it within the centre, and we will send in a moderator to moderate your scores. The practical is the most important, it's weighted the heaviest, so this contributes to 60% of the final grade. The end knowledge test, the end assessment, will be externally set by Sitting Guilds and externally marked. So for these new technical qualifications, you will have no summative marking to do. We're going to do it all for you. So it really reduces the burden on ongoing assessment. The end knowledge test contributes to 40% of the final grade. You have to pass both the top elements to be able to get for the learner to pass the qualification. The employer involvement activity doesn't contribute towards the final grade. It is something you need to be able to evidence to us, but when you go for qualification approval, you only need to have a plan. When you submit your learners' grades, your learners' work, you have to put in that each learner has undertaken meaningful employer involvement activities. The optional units, again, do not go towards the overall grade of the qualification. These are graded very similar to you do today, very similar to you do as the VRQs. These, again, are externally set by Sitting Guilds. You select which units you want your learners to undertake. They're internally marked, and then they will be externally moderated by your moderator. The optional units will be graded, and you will grade them separately, but they will not go to the final grade. We decided as Sitting Guilds that the optional units will be more of a case study, practical assignment that incorporates your consultation with the client, the practical activity, and the evaluation at the end. So let's have a look at how these technical qualifications are going to be moderated. We're going to have 2 types of moderation. For some qualifications, there is no need to have a visiting moderation. So for some qualifications, such as nails, theatrical media makeup, actually the learners have to put together a portfolio of evidence with photographic evidence, and actually for those types of qualifications, there is no need for us to have a visiting moderation. So you manage that. You have a 12-week window to get your learners through. You manage it the best to get your learners completely ready to make sure that they can showcase their skills to the best of their ability. So you mark the work, you submit it to Sitting Guilds, we then do a desk-based moderation of that, which is then agreed, and then your marks will be released to you. The other type of moderation we do is for visiting, and the qualifications that would have a visiting moderation will be things like hairdressing, barbering, beauty therapy, and complementary therapies. This is where the practical performance is really important, that client care, that client communication from that candidate. So again, you have a 12-week window to get your learners through this. You will make sure that your learners are completely ready for that moderation before you ask the moderator to come in. So at the beginning of that window, our moderation team will contact you, and they will then, you will then tell them when you are ready to start to do your end synoptic assessments with your learners. We will then send a moderator in, depending to your timescales and when is best for your learner. So the moderation team will contact you, the moderator will do a visiting moderation, and they will mark alongside you that day. They won't be able to, on that day, get a full picture because they might not see the evaluation. The evaluation part, we're saying, has to be taken within 3 working days, because if a learner is doing a 6-hour trade test or a 5-hour trade test, they're going to be exhausted on that day. Sometimes it's nice for them to go away and reflect before they come back to evaluate. So that moderator wouldn't have the full picture until they see the evaluation. So for this year, the moderation, the platform will open as from the 19th of May. You have up until the 19th of May to get all your learners through that practical performance. Once that window closes on the 19th of May this year, it closes for that academic year. Because if the learners do not have the skills by the 19th of May, they will not have them by the 19th of June. As I say, we've got to think about now right level of course for right learner. So let's start taking a closer look at our hair and beauty portfolio of what we've got on offer. We have our Key Stage 4 Sitting Guilds Technical Level 2 Award in Hair and Beauty Studies. This, for a learner at school at the age of, and when they're in Year 9, they have an opportunity to choose their options. They have to do their 5 academic subjects, and then they have 3 buckets where they can pick up a technical award that sits on the performance tables. For hairdressing and beauty therapy, we didn't get this first one through the first attempt. We didn't get it through the second attempt. The reason we didn't get it through is that we were adamant we wanted to try and have a practical aspect as part of this pre-16 qualification. Because most learners that want to go into hair and beauty do want to do a bit of practical activity. So we've been successful, we've got that through. So again, the design principles for this qualification is exactly the same as we've been talking about. There'll be an externally set and externally marked element. That will be on the science of hair and beauty. The synoptic aspect for this qualification will be a synoptic practical stroke assignment based qualification where they have to go off and research a particular era. They research that era and then they come back and they put together their assignment and then they do their final showcase, which includes the makeup skills and care skills for that particular era, which is then based on 201 and 203. You can deliver this over a 1-year programme, but I would probably recommend it to be over a 2-year programme. Most GCSEs in schools are delivered over 2 years, and I think it would lend itself much better to a 2-year programme. Then if we look at our Key Stage 5, so Key Stage 5 now is the new terminology for post-16 qualifications. So what have we got available within our beauty portfolio? We've got our Level 2 Technical Certificate in Beauty Therapy. We've then got our Level 2 Technical Certificate in Beauty Retail. Now, the reason we developed this new qualification in Beauty Retail is that we will be having a new beauty consultancy apprenticeship coming out either later this year or next year. Now, with beauty consultancy, many beauty large department stores don't want apprentices behind the counters on MAC, Benefit, Clarins at the age of 16. So it could give us a year to develop those learner skills at 16. They come to us for a year, do the Level 2 Technical Certificate in Beauty Retail, and then step off onto a beauty apprenticeship. But also, this qualification could be a bridging qualification for you. As I've been saying, we've got to get away from thinking that every learner will get to Level 3 now. Because these new qualifications are going to be aligned to GCSEs at Level 2, and they're going to be comparable to A-levels at level 3 with UCAS points. The rigour of these qualifications have got to be stepped up. Gone are the days if we've got pulse we can get it through. Right level course for right learners. So if you are still doing your own interviewing and a learner comes to you at 16, they may be quite academic. They're coming in and they've been predicted good GCSE results, but they come to you and on interview they haven't got those interpersonal skills. Their communication skills aren't great. Maybe they just haven't got the great, as I say, those interpersonal skills and those presentation skills to be able to go straight onto a beauty therapy course. You could start them on the level 2 technical certificate in beauty retail, where you start to develop those communication skills, those presentation skills. And then from that, the learner could decide that they love the skincare side of it and then go off and do level 2 technical certificate in beauty therapy and then on to level 3 spa. Or they could decide that they really like the makeup side to it and then go down the level 2 technical certificate in makeup artistry. So we've got our level 2 technical certificate in beauty retail. We've then got our nail treatments, and then we've got our level 2 technical certificate in makeup artistry. Let's have a look at how these have been made up. Don't forget it's our employers that have the voice of what are the most important skills to make somebody most employable. So we've got to start to deliver anatomy and physiology at level 2. If you think that learners that are on a level 2 technical certificate in beauty therapy, their progression route really is onto level 3 beauty and spa. They have to have those A&P skills. We've got a unit on principles and practices of the beauty therapist. This deals with your communication, client care, with health and safety, promote and sell, all those general skills that are then embedded throughout every technical unit. We've then got our hair removal treatments, our face and skin analysis, manicure, pedicure, light curve gels, lash and brow, and makeup. The learners then can choose one optional unit from male skincare treatments, tanning, or introduction to the spa industry. Our level 2 technical certificate in beauty retail has got working in the beauty retail industry, communication and customer service, sales and promotional activities, skincare for beauty retail, so they could really start with doing mini facials. You're starting off with your anatomy and physiology, then got your makeup and retail, makeup for beauty retail, so say that's a day makeup and an evening makeup, and retail for additional beauty products. So at the end of that year, the learner could then decide that they want to step off and go into beauty consultancy apprenticeship, or they could decide I really love the skincare side and go on to beauty therapy at level 2, or decide they really like the makeup and then go on to the media makeup at level 2. We're now going to look at the nail treatments. So the level 2 technical certificate in nail treatments, the mandatory units are A&P, which just to the hands and feet, introduction to the working in the nail industry, nail enhancements, and that's one clear system of your choice. You've got nail art, manicure, pedicure, and light curve gels. We're then looking at our medium makeup, our makeup artistry qualification. This is a much improved qualification. It really shows now that we're working really closely with the makeup artistry industry. We've got the principles of work in the makeup industry, anatomy and physiology for makeup artists, principles of research and developing and showcasing designs, the art of applying makeup, hair artistry, and creative makeup artistry. We're now going to look at our level 3. What we've decided at level 3 is in review of the post-16 skills plan, where they're saying they want direct routes into employment. They don't want the Heinz 57 varieties any longer. And we have, with QCF, completely diluted the market out there. So we've now got one level 3 beauty and spa qualification. We've got our Nail Tech, our Complementary Therapies, Media Makeup Artistry, and Theatrical Special Effects and Media Makeup. So with the beauty and spa, what are the most important skills to make somebody most employable as a beauty and spa therapist? They've got to be able to promote and sell. anatomy physiology has got to be key. We've got a new unit on body massage. This includes your traditional Swedish body massage, but it also includes your pre-blended oils, and it now includes no hands forearm massage. Then got facial electrical therapy treatments, body electrical therapy treatments, and your dry spa. You then got a whole list of different optionals. You have to choose one for minimum 90 guided learning hours. You can choose more if you like for stretch and challenge for those more able learners. For your nails, mandatory units again, promote self, business practice. Many nail technology technicians go on to want to run their own business, so business practice is really important. You've got A&P for hands and feet. Enhance and maintain nails using light curd gels and hard gels. Liquid and powder nail enhancement. Create and apply nail art. Creation and presentation of a mood board or lookbook, and chemistry of nail products. The optional units, then you have to choose one from a whole list of those optional units there. You've then got your complementary therapies. Complementary therapies is complementary therapies. It hasn't changed at all. We've just literally picked this up and put it into a technical qualification. Because this is regulated by the CNHC, we couldn't change this qualification. But the best thing now is this qualification does have UCAS points, and we're working very closely with high universities at the moment, and actually they're saying they are really actually loving our learners that come into them with complementary therapists or beauty therapy at level 3 as an entry requirement actually onto physiotherapy. We then got our media makeup artistry qualification, working in the film and TV, the creation and presentation lookbook, fashion and photographic makeup, media makeup and creative hair design, got your historical hair and makeup, body art, camouflage makeup, and then you've got your optional units there which you can choose depending on the needs of your learners. Then our theatrical, got cutting styling techniques for performance, avant-garde hair and makeup, creative makeup and design for productions and industry demands. You've got your prosthetic pieces and ball caps, special effects, create, dress and fit facial prestige, and body art for competition. Again, then you've got your optional units. For hairdressing, we have got a really good offer now for September. What we've done now is we've been able to split hairdressing into 2 one-year programs. So we're looking at our traditional technical certificate in barbering, our traditional technical certificate in hairdressing, and then we've split hairdressing into 2 one-year programs. We're looking at cutting and styling. It could be a first-year course, and then they could come back to do the second year, which is your colouring services. When we put this to Department for Education, they were happy for us to split it as long as there was a different job outcome for each of those qualifications. And for some learners that we get with really at entry 3 and level 1, some learners may not get to level 3. But with the technical certificate in cutting and styling services, the job opportunity for this qualification could be as a blow-dry stylist in a blow-dry bar. The learners could then come back to do the second year, which is the hair colouring services. So let's see how those are made up. With a technical certificate in barbering, got principles and practices. What my hair and barbering industry board were adamant about is they wanted exactly the same skills taught to their apprentices as to their full-time learners. So what we've done is we've just literally picked up our MVQ units, which were developed as part of 6008, and put them into our new technicals. So you could have your barbering apprentices and your full-time learners in one class, that your schemes of work and lesson plans would be exactly the same, but how you would be delivering, how you'd be assessing them at the end would be slightly different. So you've got your principles and practice again. This is your consultation, health and safety, aftercare. Shampoo and condition, cut hair using basic barbering techniques, dry and finish men's hair, cut facial hair, and create basic outlines. Our Barbering Industry Board were adamant they wanted them to nail the cutting and styling skills at level 2, and they could pick up colouring when they go to level 3. Our level 2 technical certificate in hairdressing, this worries me slightly for a learner that maybe has not got any prior experience. It's great if they've come from Key Stage 4, started to understand the hair and beauty industry, or they come from a level 1. But a learner with no prior experience, it's an awful lot to cover in one academic year, especially when we've only maybe got 10 hours on our timetable to deliver the vocational aspect. But for your more able learners that maybe don't have to pick up maths and English, then you can spend more time delivering the vocational elements. So we've got principles and practice, shampoo and condition, cut hair, style and set and dress hair, and colour and lighting hair. Don't forget now this is hairdressing, and we've adopted exactly the same approach for the 6008. When we're talking about hairdressing, it can be carried out on male or female clients. Then when my 2-year programme comes in, which could possibly be for your learners that maybe have to pick up maths and English, then we've got our level 2 technical certificate in cutting and styling, where we've got principles and practices, shampoo and condition, cut hair using basic techniques, style, set and dress hair, and plait and twist hair. So in that first year, you're nailing those cutting and styling skills. After that year, once you've banked your success rate, the learner has achieved that qualification, they can either step off and go on to an apprenticeship, which is a positive outcome, or they can come back to do the second year, which could be the colouring services. So again, you've got principles and practices, you've got colour and lighting hair, you've got styling and finishing services, because what if you are using this as a 2-year course, then whatever you taught them in the first year, we want them to continue with and develop in the second year. So that colour comes in, they still need to style it, they still need to finish it, they still need to cut it. Then you have an optional unit where you have to choose one from either perming and neutralising or relaxing. If we go back to a 2-year hairdressing programme, I think we're going to get much better success rates, and I do think that it'll be better preparing those learners to go on to level 3. We look at level 3 now. We have got just 2 clear offers. We've got our barbering route and we've got our hairdressing route. Again, the industry boards were adamant that they wanted the same skills taught that we're teaching to our apprentices at level 3 to our barbers and our hairdressers. So barbering, again, we've just picked up the units out of 6008 and put them into a technical qualification. So you've got your consultation unit, cut hair using a combination of barbering techniques, design and create facial hair shapes, and shaving. You then choose one of the optional units up to 90 guided learn hours. So again, if you're in a quite trendy barber that wants colour and lighting, we've got the level 2 colouring unit in there, because actually the level 3 really doesn't meet the needs of a barber shop. You know, what man would have a combination of techniques and a combination of colours? But that level 2 unit incorporates your partial colour, your shoe shine, your full head quasars, and your full head colours. So you've got a choice of optional units there. The hairdressing, my industry board were adamant to make something most employable to get them into the hairdressing industry. We had to have colour correction as mandatory. And I probably agree with that right now, because most colours that walk through the door now have an aspect of colour correction. So we've got our consultation, we've got our cut, we've got creative colour and lightning, creatively styled, and colour correction. You've got a whole host of optional units. You've got a new optional unit there, which is your smoothing and strengthening system, which is your keratin and blow dry, and that has been very popular this year. So moving on now, what we've done is we've done a bit of a progression route for you, so that it puts together how we see these qualifications working. Different entry points from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. As I say, it's right level of course for right learner. Not every learner has to get up to level 3, but there are job opportunities out there at level 2. So we've done that for beauty, and we've done exactly the same for hairdressing. So moving on now, as I say, our level 3 qualifications have now got UCAS points, so when you are doing parents' evenings, it's a great tool to talk to your parents and learners about actually this could be just an alternative route to going on to higher education. Now on the table here, within Hair and Beauty, we're sitting under the 450 and 540 hours. We haven't got anything at 720 or 1080. So the UCAS points reflect the guided learning hours of that qualification. So just to give you a comparison, if a learner comes out with one A-level A-star, it's 56 UCAS points. So if a learner is doing one of our level 3 technicals at 540 and they get a distinction star, they come out with 84 UCAS points. So a great route to think about, especially with our media and theatrical learners, they could do media in the first year at level 3, then theatrical in the second year at level 3. If they do really well and come out with distinctions or distinction stars, that's maximum UCAS points to get them into the entry requirement into most universities. As part of the thank you today, I will send you through an HEI guide that we've done with which university courses your learners can go on to and which universities recognise our technical qualifications. So the technical qualifications, how they're going to be assessed. I think the biggest thing that worries most centres at the moment is this externally set and externally marked knowledge paper, where you will only have one opportunity for a resit. For sitting guilds, it will be externally set, it will be externally marked. You have the opportunity to choose whether your learners do it paper-based or online. The paper-based and online test will be exactly the same, and we've decided that actually many of our centres are saying that they would prefer short answer questions to multiple choice. They feel that multiple choice set learners up to fail. The paper or the online test will cover the critical knowledge. We will give you a test specification at the beginning of September so you can fully prepare your learners for the externally set and externally marked paper. These will be graded distinction, merit, pass, and some learners may possibly fail. If they fail, they'll get one opportunity for a resit. If they fail the resit opportunity, they fail the qualification. So what schools do really well with their learners is actually prepare them for that end knowledge test. They talk to them about what a command verb is, what do we mean when we talk about state, what do we mean when we talk about describe, what do we mean when we talk about explain, and the depth and breadth of the question and what sort of responses you need. So I'm looking first at some state questions. So state 2 methods for cleaning makeup brushes. We're asking them to state it is a bullet point response. We don't want them to do a whole essay on it. They just need to do a bullet point response. It could be as simple as brush cleaner, soap and water. State 1 consequence to a client of a stylist having poor personal hygiene. So bullet point response, it could be cross-infection, it could be cross-infestation or cross-contamination, or offence to client. We're then looking at a question that goes into a little bit more breadth of a response. So we're asking them to describe a new command verb. Describe means that you've got to go into a little bit more information. So describe the processes of the 2 massage techniques used when conditioning hair. So we're asking them to state what they are, so it's effleurage and petrissage, but that's not good enough. They've got to describe what effleurage is, what petrissage is. It's worth 4 marks, so they need to go into a little bit more information. When we look at the synoptic practical assignments at Key Stage 5, they are obviously bringing together those skills across the mandatory units. So can they do a practical trade test? Some of ours have research activities. At the end of every performance, they have to be able to reflect and evaluate. The moderation approach ensures much more quality and rigour. You have a 12-week window of opportunity to plan when your learners are ready to go through to do that final synoptic assessment. And really, if you've got 100 learners on it, you probably will be looking at the first 4 to 6 weeks You want to be able to have maximum teaching time to get those learners up to the best of their ability. I wouldn't leave it to the last 2 weeks, because if you leave it to the last 2 weeks and suddenly a learner is off sick or a model doesn't turn up, once that window closes, it closes for that academic year. And the practical is weighted heaviest at 60% of the technical qualification. Giving you a few examples now of what a level 2 synoptic assessment would look like. So we're setting the scene for the learner. We're saying that you've applied for a job in a local beauty salon, you've been shortlisted for a job interview. So you're required to perform a trade test. You've got to still show those consultation skills. So what you're asked to do is it's on a minimum of 2 clients across around about 6 hours. Don't forget, we can't ask a learner to work 6 hours without a comfort break. Yes, it has to be on the same day, but when they go off for their lunch break, you stop the clock, all right? So you do it in between clients. So they have to do a light curve gel polish treatment on the hands to include firework, cuticle work, and a hand and arm massage. They have to do a pedicure. They have to do half leg and underarm wax. This is a sample. This isn't going to be the exact one you'll get on the 1st of September. This is just a sample. You have to do a face and skin analysis. You have to do an eyelash tint, an eyebrow shape, and a makeup. Then let's look at the retail one. The retail one will not have a visiting moderation, because obviously it's more of a promotional activity that can be seen through a desk-based activity. So we're setting the scene again for the learner that you're working as a beauty consultant on a brand which sells makeup, skincare and body care. The counter is in a department store and you're required to make £3,000 a month. At the end of the month, the counter is down by 20%. So your manager has asked you to do a promotional activity. He's allowed you, or your manager has allowed you to discount products by 25%. So the learner's given this and they've got to go off and plan their promotional activity. They then come up on the day and they then have to set up a counter and independently run their promotion, which includes demonstrating makeup. So very similar to you'd go into MAC and you'd go through, what colour foundation to use, what blusher to use, and obviously it's an opportunity to sell those products. Also doing mini facials, and I think we could actually do this in a really exciting way within colleges. It can be quite an enterprise sort of thing that you do with your learners to be able to showcase their skills, setting it up in maybe your college canteen or your reception. Then for media makeup, again, slightly different scenario. We're setting the scene again. You have been contacted by a regular client who's going to a 1960s themed fancy dress party. Your client wants you to put together a bit of a mood board, lookbook about different looks that you could create using hair, makeup and body paint. Your client would then agree which one to take forward, and then you would then create that whole look for that client. Across hairdressing, I've given you an example now of 2 for the cutting, styling and the colouring. We've got, for the cutting styling, they had to do 2 shampoo and conditioning services followed by 2 different cuts. You have to do a blow dry and finish with creating movement and curl. So don't forget the job opportunity for this at the end could be as a blow dry stylist in a blow dry bar. You have to do a plait and twist and set hair up. Again, 2 clients across around about 4 hours. For the technical certificate in colouring, 2 colouring and finishing services. 1 must include woven highlights and 1 must be a different technique. The woven highlights must include 50% of the head. One of the clients must have a blow dry finish and the other one a set. The other technique must change depth and tone, so it could be a semi-permanent colour or a temporary colour. So again, across 2 different clients, around about 5 hours. So that's giving you an idea of what we've got available. I will send you our full presentation that we've been doing as part of our launch event, so you can have a look at what is involved with nails and what is involved with hairdressing and for beauty therapy. The resources we've got available for you is we have got Sitting Guilds MHD Academy, which is our tutor learner resource site. But we've also developed at level 2 and level 3 our Enhanced Smartscreen Plus. In our Enhanced Smartscreen Plus, we have all your sample schemes of work, your lesson plans, handouts, activities. But we also now have video e-learning across all the mandatory units and some of the optional units. We also have our learner journals. Now, don't forget, this isn't, there's no ongoing assessments as part of these new technicals like there is at QCF, so there's no real need for a logbook. But what you have asked us for is you want to have something to work with your learners with, to prepare your learners for that endpoint assessment. So we've developed some learner journals. You don't have to use them. They are a tool that you can use to map that learner's progress and a tool that you can use with Ofsted. So for hairdressing, we've got a full coverage across level 2 and through level 3. You have journals that use unit planners. We have coverage of values and behaviours. We have industry tips and hints across them. We have your work experience unit, and we do have a mock assessment in there to fully prepare your learners for that endpoint assessment. For beauty, the only qualification we haven't supported for this is the beauty retail route qualification. It just didn't lend itself quite so much to a learner's journal as beauty, nails and makeup artistry. At level 3, we have already got our new textbooks, which went live last year. We've got our level 3 Advanced Technical Diploma for Hairdressing and Barbering, and we've got our level 3 Advanced Technical Diploma for Beauty and Spa. Again, the step-by-step photos in these either link to our Beauty Smartscreen Plus or MHD Academy. But Beauty Smartscreen Plus at level 3, as I say, has all your schemes of work and your lesson plans. And the video e-learning we've got supporting you is your body massage, face electrical therapy treatments, body elect, dry spa, epilation, Indian hair tanning, individual semi-permanent lashes, and your stone therapy unit. Resources available. We've got key documentations and videos. We've got employer involvement guides. For every qualification, you will have a qualification handbook which details what is your teaching syllabus. We've got sample assessments, and we are developing more academic planners for you, and you will get your exam calendar published in July. We've also got instruction videos. You've got instruction videos of us talking through the way that we see academic planners working. And we're not trying to teach you how to suck eggs with these academic planners. It's just a starting point for you to think about those key dates that you've got to get your learners ready for, and how we feel the best way to deliver the qualification. It is only a guide. We've got introduction videos to support you with the whole moderation process. We've got it around assessment and quality and approval process. We've also got supporting information. We've got sector slides, sector flyers. We've got FELTAG mapping around how we've got to try and use technology. Ofsted mapping and understanding the performance criteria of each of the qualifications. We've also got information guides on our website around the moderation portal centre guide. This moderation portal is where you'll upload all your evidence ready for your moderator to sample your end synoptic assessment. As I say, we've got employer involvement guides and marking and moderation guides. The one guide I would really encourage you to try and have a look at and read is the Teaching and Learning Assessment Guide. This is being developed with an Ofsted inspector to really try and support you with supporting your learners to get them ready for that end externally set and externally marked test paper. We're going to now look to see if we've got any questions.
Thank you very much, Diane. Clearly you're very thorough because we haven't actually had any questions so far. We've got a few minutes left, so if anyone has any questions, please send them along.
Okay, can I just confirm then, for September this year, you do not have to jump to technicals this academic year. The Department for Education have agreed that yes, Section 96, who is your funding mechanism, will be turned off at some point, but you can still continue with NVQs and VRQs for another academic year. Some of the feedback that we have got from our centres that have delivered this year, they have said that actually they wish the Department for Education started at level 2 first, because those centres that have gone for level 3 this year, they have found, although the learners have really enjoyed it and they've embraced it and they feel they're going out with much better technical skills, they feel that actually we gave them a year off at level 2. What I mean by that is that actually the way we're going to be delivering these qualifications is very similar to how they've been delivered as part of the last 2 years to get ready for their GCSEs. Suddenly, we've been delivering BRQ or MVQ at level 2. We've given them a full sense of security, end of unit tests for everything. Not a problem if you fail that end practical assessment, you can just do it again. And really, it's been a steeper hill for those learners to climb, whereas the feedback that I'm getting now is that many centres are thinking of jumping this year for level 2 and maybe continuing with business as usual at level 3 for one more academic year, just so that we continue with the momentum from how they've been delivered for the last 2 to 3 years, getting ready for their GCSEs. Get them from GCSEs, no difference. Start with level 2 and then they'll be in a much better, stronger position to go on to the level 3 the following year. But I think the biggest thing at the moment is making sure the right level course for right learners. And I do think now we've got a comprehensive offer at City and Guilds to think about those progression routes into employment for our learners. And just remember, it's not always level 3 they have to do to be employable, where there are job opportunities out there at level 2. And you have to remember success is still really, really important to you.
We've had a couple of questions come through. The first one from Pearl McFarlane. How would an IQA support their centres and provide IQA evidence for moderation? Is this needed or required?
Okay, there's no ongoing IQA. What you do have to do to get ready for that end synoptic assessment, if you've got multiple assessors making those endpoint assessment decisions, you have to standardise your marks between different assessors. Now, what lots of our centres have been doing is actually, when those learners go to do that endpoint assessment, they're having 2 people in there making these assessment decisions, because it's a lot of pressure on one person's shoulders. So they're doing some standardisation activities. And when you see my academic planners, you'll see I put key weeks where I'm saying doing mock assessment. This is when you would standardise your marks. So it's not IQAing, it's standardising of allocating marks.
Another question in from Nikki Boone. Where can we find the resources, mapping, and teaching and learning assessment guides, etc.?
Okay, we will send them to you, Nikki, as part of this thank you email. We will send you the key links to our website where these guides can be found.
Brilliant. We've got a couple more minutes left. No more questions come through. We'll give you guys a couple minutes. If you have any more, please do send them through.
The other feedback that I just wanted to share with you while we wait for any more feedback is with hair and beauty, we are 2 completely different industries. But for beauty therapy at level 3, we're categorically saying that those learners cannot be familiar with that client. That body for that end synoptic assessment has to be completely unfamiliar to them. That body walks through the door and they do a treatment analysis, body analysis, and they design their pamper event around that client's skin and body objectives. Now with hairdressing, we are allowing those learners to showcase their skills and pick those clients. One thing that I would really like to get over to you today is if they are picking those clients to do those endpoint assessments, please make sure that they have to play that game all day. And please make sure that actually you need to talk to that client about how to act in the professional manner that day as well. But that learner has to play the game. They have to go through all those consultation skills, do all those tests on that day. So that is what they're being assessed against.
Another question from Lynn Adair. Will VRQ Level 1 3001 Diploma continue?
That's a really good question. Our Level 1s are not affected by these reforms at all. Reforms are only affecting Level 2 because they're going to be aligned to GCSEs, and Level 3 of these are going to be aligned to A-levels. Our Level 1 will just be business as usual, and we're in the process of City and Guilds at the moment of actually extending all of our BRQs and MPQs at the moment, because lots of them do run out at Christmas this year, so they are being extended at the moment.
And another question from Pearl McFarlane. What would be the preferred evidence for employer engagement?
Okay, so it could be, what I'm likening it to at the moment is very much like your CPD activities that you have to do to maintain your assessor status each year. So at the beginning it's just a plan, and then it could be then your diary from a learner doing work experience that may be assigned by an employer. It could be evidence that you've had Dermalogica in or Weller in. It doesn't have to be like a programme of study. You have to have 30 or 40 hours evidence. It could be as simple that you've had weathering for the day, and that learner maybe is reflected afterwards on what they've learned from having Weller or Dermalogica in for the day.
We've not had any more questions in, so I think it's a good time to wrap it all up. Thank you very much, Diane, for this insightful presentation, and thank you all for listening.
No, as I say, if anybody does have any questions, please email me. I'm always at the end of the phone. What we will do is we will send out this presentation, but I will send out to all delegates that have signed up today my full presentation that I've been doing as part of my technical onboarding session, so you've got a lot more information as well. I'd just like to thank you for your time today. I hope you have a lovely weekend.